Welcome, traveler, to Boring History for Sleep, a place where we gently journey back through time to the quiet, forgotten moments of history. Here we embrace the past as it truly was. Ordinary, sometimes harsh, but always human. So settle in, breathe slowly, and let the stories of ancient worlds soothe your mind and carry you softly into restful sleep. Tonight, we travel to ancient Rome, leaving behind the comforts of our world. No soft beds, no running taps, no glowing screens. We go back, far back, to the grime and grandeur of the ancient Roman Empire. Not to the Colosseum, not to Caesar's court, but to the cramped, fire-prone wooden apartments of the working poor. 2 ash-frozen towns. 2 hidden cults. 2 suspicious banquets in gilded villas. Close your eyes. Let your thoughts slow. Garum, they call it. It's a delicacy if you can afford the good stuff. But today's scent is far from fresh. Let your breath settle. And imagine yourself waking up on a straw mattress in the heart of the greatest empire the world had ever known. Perhaps you'll haul bricks to the bathhouse site, or grind grain until your palms split, or sell figs by the roadside. Whatever you do, it won't be easy. The air is still, heavy with the scent of damp stone, charred oil, and something vaguely metallic. There's no pillow, just a bundle of old rags tucked beneath your neck. And always, always, the shadow of something ancient, ... and not quite explainable. Rest easy. Let's walk slowly through the day, through the lives of the invisible Romans, those who built the empire. One cracked tile at a time, no bath. If you need to relieve yourself, you do it in a pot. A chamber pot, and you carry that pot down several flights of dark, dangerously narrow stairs, and empty it into the public latrines or, more commonly, into the street gutter. From above, you hear someone do just that. A wet splash, a faint curse from below. Augustus himself tried to regulate them. But landlords build higher anyway. Wood is cheap, space is limited. So they stack one cramped unit on top of another, until the whole thing sways like a ship in the wind. The sun has barely broken over the tiled roofs of Rome, and there it goes. Wood, kindling, tar, pitch. In a matter of minutes, flames rush through the insula, floor by floor. You escape if you're lucky, but not everyone is. But it's a walk, with a jug. Maybe 2. Light seeps through the shuttered window, a single slatted wooden board. There's no glass. The air is cool for now, but by midday, the top floors will feel like an oven. Outside your window, if you were lucky enough to have one, you hear the soft clatter of sandals on cobblestone. A mule cart creaks by. Somewhere in the distance, someone is arguing in Latin, or maybe Greek, or maybe both. You stir beneath a thin wool blanket, scratchy against your skin. Not hay, no, that's for animals. Straw, dry, hollow stalks bundled together and used by the poor as bedding, maybe 2 paces across. No privacy, no walls to divide your family. You'll just shared space. Where every cough, every snore, every whispered conversation echoes. The walls are thin, wattle and daub, or unfinished bricks, sometimes lined with scraps of cloth to keep the cold from biting. If you slip in, people, do you fall? And if you live on the 5th floor, that fall could end you. It's infested with mites, and itchy. The walls groan with age. The timber frames bend ever so slightly in the summer heat. You share your floor with 6 other families. Everyone hears everything. You're in an insulae, a Roman apartment block. It rises for 5, sometimes 6 stories high. There are no chimneys. You cough, but quietly. Noise can wake your neighbors, and their tempers are as thin as their tunics. UL walk down a flight of stairs so steep they creak and sway and fetch it from a public fountain that may or may not have been cleaned this week. Downstairs, a baker begins his morning fire. The smoke creeps upward through the cracks in the walls. There's no tap to turn, no kettle to boil. You need water? And as you pass the doorway of another tenant, you smell it, that sharp vinegar temps of spoiled wine and fish sauce. It's early, yet the city stirs. Today, you'll work. And when night returns, so do the dangers. The risk of fire, the risk of collapse. The risk of thieves, or worse. But for now, you're awake now, if you can call it that. You stretch your limbs, stiff from sleeping on straw. The room you live in is barely the size of a small modern bathroom. There is no toilet, no sink. The stairs in your insula are steep, worn smooth by thousands of sandaled feet. No railing, no safety codes, no lanterns in the night. By law, buildings aren't supposed to go above a certain height. Fires are common. One oil lamp falls over. One kitchen is left unattended. What? Water. Fetch it. There's no tap in your room. No plumbing. Aqueducts do feed the fountains, and if you live close enough to one, you might get your water early. You wait your turn among other tenants. Children splash, dogs drink, and once in a while, a dead rat floats by unnoticed. Washing yourself, that's a luxury. You might visit a public bath once a week if you have a few coins. Soap isn't used as we know it today. Instead, you rub oil into your skin and scrape it off with a curved blade called a strigil. Shared baths, shared oils. You try not to think too much about the man who used the strigil before you. The noise never stops. Down the hall, someone is grinding grain, a rhythmic, hollow scraping that never quite fades. Outside, hawkers shout, "Panem vinum, olive." Children laugh, argue, cry. A street poet recites verses. Somewhere nearby, a dog barks at nothing. You might not speak Latin fluently, but you hear enough of it to understand the swearing. The scent of incense drifting from a neighbor's shrine, and the ever-present sour temps of urine used by fullers to bleach togas. World of whispered prayers, secret symbols, and ancient rites. You collect it in pots, too, on purpose. The smell, it's always there. Because to survive in Rome means sharing your life, your smells, your space, your sleep with everyone else. Public festivals fill the streets with chanting and sacrifice. Here, a soft chant fills the air, carried on the breath of flickering oil lamps. The followers believe Isis offers protection, healing, even eternal life.
Oh.
The ritual is strange to the uninitiated, filled with secret gestures and songs in a foreign tongue. Rotting fish, animal fat, unwashed bodies, smoke, human waste. It's a world of sensation, too much of it. Too many people packed into too little space. Too little comfort. Too much work. You hear the whispered oaths, the clinking of bronze daggers, the crackle of small fires. Here, loyalty and courage bind these men together, soldiers, merchants, slaves all, seeking strength in a cruel world. But you endure it because you must, because you were born into it. Cloaked in secrecy, they worship Mithras, the god born from a rock, the slayer of the cosmic bull. Whispers beneath the empire. Approx. 25 minutes. As the city around you hums and churns beneath the surface, both in shadowed corners and candlelit basements, there thrives a hidden world. Rome is a city of gods. Dozens, hundreds, all worshipped openly. Jupiter, Mars, Venus, the state temples shine in marble and gold. Secret banquets and wild festivals where the wine flows freely and masks hide faces in the flickering torchlight. But the allure remains. Here people lose themselves in music, dance, and sometimes darker deeds. It's a place where the ordinary rules break down. You are no longer a tenant in a crumbling apartment. Philosopher. A cool breeze slips in through the high open windows of your atrium. Your thoughts stir before your limbs. You have much to consider. Rome is always on the edge of something: glory or ruin, peace or war, fame or disgrace. You hear the rustling of laurel leaves in the courtyard garden, the trickle of a small fountain, a gentle sound, soothing as it echoes through the mosaic-tiled halls of your domos. You splash cool water onto your face and rub your eyes clear. It is not easy to wear. It folds heavily. It itches slightly at the shoulder. But it is tradition. It is Rome. They come to seek favors, to offer thanks, or simply to be seen in your presence. This is the ancient exchange of status and loyalty, formal and unspoken. Another offers a honeyed cake and some dried figs. You eat sparingly. Discipline begins in the stomach, after all, defender of the Republic. And above all, a man of words. You are not a fishmonger, or a baker, or a brick hauler. You're Marcus Tullius. Cicero. Scrolls line the shelves. Aristotle. Plato. The Stoics. The Epicureans. You have read them all. Their voices accompany you like old friends, always debating in the quiet corners of your mind. The Bacchanalia wild, ecstatic rites honoring Bacchus, god of wine and ecstasy. A letter to a friend, perhaps, or a new philosophical treatise. You believe in writing not for praise, but for posterity. Verba volant, scripta manent, spoken words fly away. Written ones remain. But beneath this grand religious display, many Romans seek something else, something private. They offer comfort against the fears that burn quietly in every Roman's heart. Something mysterious. Sleep calls again. But now your dreams carry the weight of ancient mysteries. The cult of Isis. You slip quietly through the back streets of the city towards a small, hidden sanctuary. The temple of Isis, once forbidden, now cautiously tolerated. Women in veils move gracefully, hands raised to the skies. You're not sure what to believe, but you feel the pull, the hope, the promise of something beyond the grind of daily survival. The cult of Mithras. Further from the bustle, in the cool underground chambers known as Mithria, men gather in shadows. Initiations are fierce and private. The air smells of burning herbs and wet stone. Watch the bacchanalia. On the edges of respectable society, there are rumors. The Senate once tried to ban these gatherings, fearful of the chaos they might bring. Why the secrets? Public religion honors the empire, the state, and tradition. But mystery cults promise something personal: answers to life, death, and what lies beyond. They offer hope where there is little.
Hey.
They offer community in a city where millions pass as strangers. As night deepens, these secret rites continue, unseen by most, felt only in whispers. You return to your cramped apartment, the city's heartbeat fading into a low murmur. A gentle descent into politics, philosophy, and the restless soul of the Roman Republic. Let the sounds of the city fade into a soft hush, like footsteps disappearing down a long stone corridor. Senator, the hour is early, just past dawn. You lie on a low couch, the linen coverlets pulled neatly over you, though you have been awake for some time. And yet, here in your house on the Palatine Hill, all is still. A slave enters quietly and offers a shallow basin for washing. As you rise, you wrap yourself in your toga-bleached, broad-stroked, with the purple hem of your rank. You pass through your library, you pause, take a seat by the window, and open a scroll of your own writings. As the sunlight begins to stretch across the marble floor, your clientes begin to arrive. Clients, common men who depend on your patronage. You greet them graciously, your words chosen with care, not too lofty, not too humble. Just enough to remind them that while you are a man of the people, you are also a guardian of the Republic. By mid-morning, your litter is ready. From this height, you see Rome in full bloom. Bakers kneading their dough, merchants arranging their wares, schoolboys reciting Homer. The smell of bread, sweat, and smoke rises in waves. Carried by servants, shaded by curtains, it floats above the dust of the street. The forum awaits. You speak of duty, of justice, of Rome's history, and its uncertain future. Some nod, some scowl, a few scribble notes. You arrive at the Curia, the Senate House. Its great bronze doors are open, and marble columns tower above. Inside, voices rise, some noble, some petty. A few schemers, always whispering. A few idealists like yourself, still holding fast to the dream of the Republic. You stand, adjust your toga, and speak. You eat a late meal: lentils, olives, a bit of grilled fish, simple, pleasing. Your voice is firm but not loud, each phrase measured, each argument polished like a gem. She is your joy. Think of Pompey and Crassus, of conspiracies and fate. The oil lamp flickers. You write letters to friends, speeches half-formed. Philosophical musings on the nature of law, the fragility of order, and the meaning of virtue. You step out into the courtyard and look up at the stars, familiar, ancient, unchanging. And for a moment, the chaos of the world seems still. You know that your words may not change the course of history today, but they might echo in the minds of men who do. When the session ends, you do not linger. You walk through the Basilica, Julia, past men playing dice, past magistrates debating cases, past citizens begging for grain. You nod to a few, recognize more than you speak to. Your name is known. But fame is a fickle friend. Back home, you recline in your garden. The birds chirp in the ivy. A fig tree leans against a weathered column. Later, your wife Terentia joins you. She brings news from the household. Your daughter Tullia has written. You read the letter twice. As evening falls, you retire to your study again. A light breeze moves gently through cypress trees and terracotta rooftops. In the hills beyond the noise, perhaps on the Aventine, or in a villa tucked near the Bay of Naples, another Roman world awakens. Outside, Rome sleeps, but your mind does not. You think of the Republic noble in theory, chaotic in practice. You think of Caesar rising in popularity. You wonder if words will ever be enough. The walls are painted in rich cinnabar and deep blue, telling stories of gods and sea creatures. You feel your body loosen in ways it hasn't in days. Everything slows, even thought. Columns line the open-air courtyard, encircling a garden of lavender and thyme. Torches are being lit one by one along the pathways. Their flames dance, golden and lazy. A slave walks past with a bronze tray of grapes, figs, and dates glazed with honey. The air smells of bay leaves and myrtle. Servant uses a strigil to scrape the dirt and oil away, each stroke slow and practiced. Low couches encircle a large table made of polished olive wood. Dishes are arranged like a painter's palette. But then, the candle guttering low, you set aside your pen. Fountain babbles gently in the center of the garden, its basin filled with rose petals. All served with malsum chilled wine, sweetened with honey, flamingo tongue, rare and prized. It is not to your taste, but you try it anyway for curiosity's sake. Lamb roasted with coriander and vinegar. Everything is brought in silver dishes, lifted and lowered with silent grace. You catch the soft rhythm of the strings like waves on a quiet shore. You breathe in, let the weight of the day slip from your shoulders, and drift slowly, silently into sleep. A servant fans you lazily. The flicker of oil lamps traces slow patterns on the painted ceiling above, and the city lies hushed. The streets are quieter. The midday bustle has softened into the long exhale of evening. Not one of fire traps and fish sauce, but one of silk, silver, and soft voices over slow-burning braziers. Honey cakes, chilled melon. The guests nod, half asleep, their voices barely more than a breath, and wine always more wine. Not gulped, but sipped slowly, diluted as etiquette demands. Conversation drifts, laughter quiets. Someone recites lines from Virgil, another counters with a clever epigram of Catullus. You are no longer in the heart of Rome. You are in the shaded peristyle of a senator's countryside estate, a villa rustica. The ground beneath your feet is cooled marble. Inlaid mosaics depict river nymphs and triumphal processions. Everything is designed to soothe. The afternoon bath. You're escorted to the bath complexes. Even private villas have them. First, the tepidarium, a warm room where oil is gently rubbed into your skin. Then, the caldarium, hot, steaming. You sweat, your muscles melt. Finally, the frigidarium, a cool plunge to wake the senses. The water clings to your skin, a shock but a welcome one. Robed now in soft linen, you step outside. The sun is low in the sky. The banquet begins. The villa's triclinium, the dining room, is laid out with precision. The meal begins with the gustaccio, the appetizer course. You sample oysters brought in from Bai, eggs boiled just enough to tremble, mushrooms marinated in wine. The conversation is light. Poetry, philosophy, the scent of saffron is in the air. A young girl plucks a cythera in the corner. Next, the prima mensa, the main course. Peacock, dormice, stuffed with nuts and herbs. Outside, the cicadas sing. Winding down. Now, the secunda mensa dessert. Candied fruits. A hush falls. You recline fully now, your cheek resting against a soft pillow. The host offers a toast to Bacchus, to Venus, to friendship, to fleeting summer nights. Somewhere beyond the villa walls, Rome turns restlessly in its sleep. Fires burn in braziers. Ships arrive in the harbor. Letters are written by candlelight. But here, in this quiet corner of the empire, nothing stirs. Your eyes drift shut. You think of the garden, of the bath, of the taste of fig and wine on your tongue. You think of marble and mist, of ink on parchment and the sound of lyres. And then, you sleep. You're in Pomponat as we know it now, frozen and empty, but as it was, living, bustling, unaware. The air is warm, still, and fragrant. A woven wool blanket rests at your feet. Sunlight spills across a mosaic floor, tiny tiles and patterns of dolphins and ships. Outside, you hear the familiar clatter of a wooden cart on stone streets. Chickens mutter softly in a nearby yard. A breeze carries the scent of fresh bread, fig trees, and distant sea salt drifting inland from the Bay of Naples. You awaken not in fear, but in routine. It is morning. You lie on a low wooden bed, its legs painted in faded red. You rise, stretch, and open the shutters. The streets are alive. Two boys run past, laughing, kicking a leather ball. You hear the soft splash of water from a fountain at the end of the street. Fresh fish from the harbor, goat's cheese wrapped in fig leaves, amphory of cheap wine from the countryside. You walk slowly, as if through a painting. Life here is not rushed. It hums, steady and warm. The kitchen is little more than a counter with clay jugs and a brazier. You imagine it, steam rising, backs being scrubbed, secrets being traded, gossip like steam floats freely. The smell of fresh loaves baking in clay ovens draws a quiet line of neighbors. A bronze pot rattles with lentils cooking slowly for later. The fountain's carved lion head smiles as water flows from its mouth, a gift of the aqueduct that snakes down from the hills. A small altar glows with incense smoke, curling into the quiet air. You nod to the Laris, the household spirits. A gesture of respect, a habit so old it comes without thought. The sand still smells faintly of sweat and blood. But for now, the arena sleeps. A woman carries a basket of grapes and olives on her head. Cloaked in green and mist, its slopes rise above the city like a protector. Its summit is gentle-rounded, harmless. On a door nearby, someone has scrawled a crude joke. Beneath it, another hand replied with a correction in better grammar. The chickens squawk. You are in a world full of color walls painted in ochre and blue. Gardens blooming with roses and laurel. Shop signs etched with crude graffiti and tiny drawings of loaves, fish, and wine jugs. Pompeii has its own pulse. A man naps beneath an awning, a scroll resting on his chest. Black, towering, expanding like an immense pine tree of ash. The heat is pleasant. Heavy but not harsh. You step into the tablinum, the family room. Others gather their gods, their coins, their bread feudal bundles for a flight that will never finish. Your breakfast is simple bread dipped in olive oil, a handful of dates. Outside, the day begins in earnest. Your lungs begin to burn. The air is no longer air. The city is buried in a slow, soft silence. You walk to the marketplace. Vendors shout softly, beckoning you to their stalls. You pass a bakery, where a donkey turns a millstone round and round. A slave sweeps flour from the floor. A table is set for a meal that will never come. A dog chained in the courtyard curls into the shape of sleep. People frozen where they knelt or fled. Further on, the baths await. In a Roman insula, a narrow, creaking apartment shared with many, your world begins not with comfort, but with duty. You pause outside the thermi, listening to the echo of soft conversation and splashing water. But you turn instead, toward the amphitheater. Doors slam, pots crash, donkey screams. It's quiet now, though. Last night it shook with cheering gladiators, wild animals, and the clash of iron on shield. Above you, the sky is vast and blue, and there stands Vesuvius. Quiet, peaceful, and yet the birds are fewer today. The dogs bark too often. You don't notice. Return home in the afternoon sun. Children play with clay dolls in the courtyard. Girl sings softly as she draws in the dust with a stick. Then, the earth rumbles. Softly at first, like a passing cart too close to the wall. A bowl falls, a cup wobbles, and tips. You step into the doorway, uncertain. Then another tremor. This one deeper, longer. From Vesuvius, a pillar of smoke begins to rise. Not thin, not gray, but thick. You hear shouting now. Ash begins to fall at first like snow. Fine, soft, weightless. You look up, and the sky is vanishing. The light dims, the breeze dies, the world hushes. Your hands tremble. You call out to your neighbor. He is already running. Somewhere a child cries for its mother, but you remain still. The ash thickens. It coats the roof tiles, fills the cisterns, sinks into sandals. And then, time stops. Everything you touched, everything you knew preserved, Just so. The amphorae remain upright. The scrolls are rolled on shelves. POMPEII ... becomes eternal. The day begins before the sun. You are not an adult. Not yet. You are perhaps 7, maybe 9. Your straw mattress itches. You stretch beneath a thin wool blanket, already warm from the press of siblings sleeping close. You hear your father rise his footsteps heavy on the wooden floor. She hums softly, her voice cracked with years of early mornings. There is no concept of childhood here as we know it. You are small, but you are already useful. Outside, a vendor's cart rumbles past, its wooden wheels clattering over cobblestones. Your mother stirs a pot of millet over a brazier. The room smells faintly of smoke and cabbage. Down 3 flights of stairs, dodging droppings, puddles, the cat who hisses from the stairs. Outside, the morning air is cold, but crisp. You learn which neighbors are kind and which to avoid. You learn when the magistrate will pass by with his lictors, and how to stay out of the way. You learn that grain is cheapest at the end of the market day, and that figs bruise fast in summer. You walk past closed shutters and a dog scratching at a door. Your first task is water. You hear shouting. Someone is scolded for stealing a pear. Another child carries his baby brother on his hip. You wrap your threadbare tunic around your shoulders and take the clay jug. The fountain is already busy. And 2. How to avoid an angry hand. How to climb a wall. How to sleep with one eye open. You hear whispers, fever, blood, gods be kind. Sometimes they return, sometimes they do not, and the street forgets, the way it always does. Children like you, waiting in line with their own pots. You fetch wood, if there's any to be had. In the dust of the alley, you and your friends draw circles, play a game of knucklebones, or chase each other in a mock chariot race. You help your father mend a worn sandal or tie a cord around a cracked bucket. You throw flowers in the street for a festival parade. If you are a boy, perhaps a trade, a soldier, just another man in the crowd, still learning, still growing. You eat honey cakes when Saturnalia comes. For one night, even the masters pretend to serve the slaves. You laugh until your stomach aches. A reward is a chunk of stale bread dipped in oil. You nod to an older girl. You try not to spill a drop as you carry the heavy jug home. But in the shouted prices, the slap of leather sandals, and the scent of 10,000 mingling lives, your parents whisper. Someone downstairs is singing. The fire has burned low. Speaks quickly, trying to convince a patrician servant of the DA's rarity. To your right, a man with rough hands stacks amphorae of olive oil, their clay bodies still damp from the river journey. You hear the sharp strike of scales, weights balanced, and coins clinking into wooden bowls. Your little sister clings to your arm in her sleep. You help clean. You sweep ash from the threshold. Baskets of figs and dates, their juices staining the air with sweetness. You pass by a scribaphoring to read letters for a coin, and next to him a toothless old woman selling charms to ward off the evil eye. She meets your gaze. She murmurs something, maybe a blessing, maybe not. Roast pork, crackling on an iron spit. Chickpea stew bubbling in a bronze pot. No one speaks publicly this early, but the pigeons have claimed it as their own. One preens on the beak-shaped decoration that gave the platform its name. A guard nearby dozes in the shade, arms crossed, helmet slipping slightly over his brow. A boy holding a chained monkey. A musician balancing on a barrel, plucking a worn lyre. A butcher sharpening his knife with a slow, deliberate hiss. A whiff of fresh bread from a street oven, crispy, golden, almost heavenly. Even before the sky blushes pink, the stone-paved square begins to stir. Stalls creak open. Cloth awnings unfurl like sails. His opponent, red-faced, throws up his hands. The judge listens with a face carved from marble. Nearby, a group of farmers haggle over grain prices, each word a soft war. One laughs too loud, another spits in the dust. Dust rises and curls from carts drawn by donkeys and oxen. Their steps are swept clean by slaves before anyone else arrives. You see priests in white togas make offerings of incense. A low chant rolls out into the air like a morning bell. There is no school for most children like you, not formal, not structured. But you learn all the same. You learn to read faces. You are always watching. If you are lucky and your family has a little coin, you might visit a tutor literator, they call him. who teaches letters scratched in wax, but mostly you learn by shadowing. You follow your father to the docks, or your mother to the laundries. You carry, you listen. You do not ask for toys, but you make them. A pebble becomes a soldier. A bit of cloth becomes a doll. You hear laughter. There is joy, but it is thin and brief. You treasure every moment. Illness is always near. A friend misses a day. Your limbs are thin. Your feet are calloused. But you are strong in ways no one sees. You know how to stretch a meal. Sometimes on special days there is festivity. You wear a little amulet of bulla if you are freeborn. Bumps against your chest as you run. But tomorrow you will rise again before the sun. The jug must be filled. The firewood must be gathered. Life must continue. If you are a girl, your future is already shaped. Marriage, children, managing a home if fortune is kind. But today, you are still a child. You lie down again in the cramped room, now thick with the smell of stew. You close your eyes. No comfort, not as we know it. No toys, no warmth, no softness. And yet, ... somehow still, life continues. The day begins not with silence, but with a murmur. The Roman marketplace, the Forum, does not sleep for long. You're here just after dawn, standing in the middle of a living machine. Above the temples of the gods catch the light first, the columns of Jupiter and Saturn, still cold from the night but glowing golden. But down here in the heart of the Forum, the real pulse of the city beats not in the temples or senatorial halls. You walk slowly, carefully, to your left. A cloth merchant folds fine Egyptian linen, and the smells, oh, the smells. Fresh fish layered on crushed ice, hauled from Ostia before sunrise. A flute plays somewhere in the distance. Children dart through legs, chasing a cloth ball. You sit for a moment near the speaker's platform, the rostra. The sun climbs higher. The square grows louder. A trial is beginning on the far edge of the Forum. A man shouts his defense with arms flailing. You see a woman selling birds in wicker cages, and through it all, people pass. Senators in striped togas, slaves with baskets balanced on their shoulders, soldiers off duty, merchants counting coins. Women in stolas holding clay pots, philosophers quoting Plato, gamblers whispering odds, lovers slipping away between columns. The marketplace is not just a place. It is a living chronicle of hunger and fortune, of gossip and decision, a theater of smells and noise. And it has its own rhythm. Shadows grow sharp. A dog sleeps in the shade of a column. Water splashes from the public fountains, cool and clear. You cup your hands and drink deeply, the taste of the city on your tongue mineral. Ancient, clean. Midday, the heat shimmers in waves across the square. Crates are loaded, ropes tightened, coins counted again. Some sellers will go home richer. Others, empty-handed. You tie your caligay, the hobnailed sandals that will carry you through forests, deserts, and across rivers you don't even know the names of. By afternoon, the stalls begin to pack away. The aquilofer, the standard-bearer, stands proud and silent. Nearby, the centurion barks the first orders of the day. The sound is a tide against the land. The locals whisper of spirits and gods in these woods, but your gods are the gods of Rome. Still, you mutter a prayer to Mars as you go. You are a legionary, a soldier of the empire. You cannot hear them, but you see the centurions lean in, listening, nodding. Orders are passed down like a ripple on a pond. He always does when he's nervous. Behind you, someone coughs again, the same cough for 3 days now. You do not ask about it. Illness is weakness, and weakness is buried. Your bed is a roll of rough wool laid over dirt, a hard biscuit, a slice of dried pork, a cup of watered wine. You sit on a log near the fire. Gaius is sharpening his gladius, the short Roman sword. You oil your helmet. Someone further down the line is singing softly, something in a tongue you don't know. Of the noise and the heat and the rush of voices in the Forum, of your sister's laughter, of warm wine shared with friends. You eat with your fingers. You chew slowly. You do not speak. Your pillow is your folded cloak, and your lullaby. The low murmur of men waking in the dark, and the hiss of coals in the fading campfire. There are whispers, trees moving, animals calling, footsteps perhaps, or maybe just your imagination. Still, your hand never leaves the hilt of your gladius. And as the sun leans west, the forum quiets again, a soldier of the empire. A thread in the vast tapestry of Rome, the pigeons return. The last merchant folds his awning. A broom sweeps a final crust of bread into the gutter. But tomorrow, it will all begin again. Here, on this distant edge of the empire, you will make camp. Your tunic clings with the sweat of hours spent in the market, in the street, in the world. And so, like thousands of others, you come here, to the baths. Because here in the heart of Rome, the forum never truly sleeps, merely breathes rising and falling with the lives it gathers. You marched to the edge of the world and did not turn back. The sun has not yet risen, but you are already awake. You swing your mattock, muscles burning, until the trench is deep enough. Then the palisade stakes sharpened, wood hammered into the earth. The camp takes shape like clockwork. Tents in rows, command in the center, fire spaced evenly, guards posted at every corner. Dim. The stone floor radiates a gentle heat. Sit for a moment, letting your body begin to soften. Your muscles remember how to unwind. The sweat comes slowly, easily. It feels like shedding the outer layer of the day. Cold bites harder here, far from Rome, far from vineyards and olive groves, far from your mother's voice or the song of the forum. Cubbyholes line the walls, and you tuck away your belongings as slaves and bath attendants move among the crowd with practiced grace. A man is rubbing olive oil into his arms. A child splashes at a basin. An old man sits on a bench, eyes closed, lips moving in silent prayer or memory, scented faintly with oil and damp limestone. The walls are high, painted with faded gods Apollo playing his lyre, Neptune rising from the sea, nymphs laughing in shallow pools. You rise. You dan your armor piece by piece, segmentate plates cold against your skin, leather straps drawn tight, the weight of empire settling onto your shoulders. Outside, the standards flap in the breeze, the silver eagle glinting even before the light touches it. Your hands are calloused from drills, your back aches from yesterday's march, and today promises no rest. You fall into line. The column moves forward, hundreds of men, thousands of feet rising and falling in perfect rhythm. Left, right, left, right. You pass through a mist-shrouded forest. The trees here are tall, alien. Beside you, your comrade Gaius hums a tavern tune from Naples. At midday, the order comes to halt. The men break rank and sit. The wind carries smells pine, sap, distant smoke, wet earth. Somewhere far ahead, scouts ride back to report. Then, the horn. Shh, you stand. You march. The day drags on, one foot in front of the other, until the trees open and a wide plain reveals itself. You have done this before? First the ditches, every man digs, every man works. When night falls, you eat again, this time hot lentils, simmered slowly in a bronze pot. The stars above are sharp and clear. Cold, you look up and think of Rome, of the marble steps of the Pantheon. But now there is only the watch. You draw the short straw. Second watch, you wrap your cloak tighter, stand by the outer ditch, and listen to the night. It is not silent. The fire crackles behind you. Above you, the moon watches distant, white and indifferent. And so you stand. You are not remembered. Your name will not be carved in stone. But tonight, you kept the watch. You held the line. And tomorrow, you will march again. The sun is low when you arrive, its golden light slanting through arches, gilding the edges of the stone columns. You are tired. The day has been long. The Thermae roams temples of steam and stillness. You step through the wide, echoing entrance. Inside, the noise of the city melts away. Warmer is thicker here. Warmer. You pass through the apoditerium, the changing room. You step barefoot now, into the tepidarium, the warm room. It is quiet here. And then, the caldarium. You push through the thick curtain and into the steam. It envelops you immediately, warm and heavy and full. The heat kisses your skin, clings to your hair, soaks into your bones. The walls are lost in the mist. You hear water dripping. You hear a flute playing faintly in a corner. And everywhere, the steady murmur of voices, men discussing politics, bread prices, poetry, and lovers. All is slower here, more dreamlike. You slide into the hot pool, the alveus. The water is deep and still. You lower yourself inch by inch till only your head remains above. It is as if the world has fallen away. You close your eyes. Time moves strangely in the bath. You remember stories told to you long ago, gods bathing in sacred rivers, of heroes emerging from fire, cleansed and reborn. Pure, shocking. You feel weightless. You float. You drift. The heat pulls every thought from your mind. A servant approaches with a stridulent, arched blade of bronze, used to scrape oil and dirt from the body. He works with care, pulling the blade down your arms, your legs, your back. The sensation is both rough and intimate. You say nothing. He nods and leaves you to the water once more. Eventually, you rise, glowing with heat, skin tingling. You pass next to the frigidarium, the cold plunge. The water here is icy. A marble shelf, smooth with age, holds delicate statuettes of guardian spirits, a pair of Lares standing watchful, a genius representing your family's spirit, and a small bust of Vesta, goddess of the hearth and home. Lighting it carefully, the flame flickers, casting soft shadows that dance across the faded frescoes on the walls, images of gods and heroes you've known since childhood. The lamp's gentle light fills the small space with warmth, an ancient beacon of protection. Beside them, a shallow ceramic bowl cradles fresh spring water, clear and cool, and a scattering of salt pure and white as snow. You take a drop on your fingertips and touch the forehead of each statue, a silent blessing. You whisper a quiet prayer, not rushed or loud, but a steady thread linking you to the unseen world. Today he holds a pure white chicken, watching carefully as it pecks its scattered grain. Each bite, each hesitation, carries weighty meaning. She murmurs incantations, drawing symbols in the dust with a finger. A small pouch of herbs and bones lies at her side, tools to protect from curses or to glimpse the future. Others clutch charms tightly, seeking any thread of hope in uncertain times. The crowd leans in, hushed, waiting for his judgment answer from Jupiter on matters of war, harvest, or politics. The cobblestones beneath your feet are cracked in places. You avoid stepping on the cracks, believing it might invite misfortune or disturb restless spirits. You arrange fresh flowers on the lararium, their fragrance mingling with the scent of burning incense, a blend of myrrh and frankincense that curls upward like smoke from the deepest wells of time. Together, you offer silent thanks, a chorus of hearts bound by faith. The flame's soft glow illuminates your faces, casting long shadows that seem to move and breathe. You see a woman toss salt over her left shoulder as she walks past a bakery, a gesture to ward off evil lurking unseen. Offerings of bread, wine, or flowers decorate these sacred spots, signs of gratitude and hope, the uncertain future, the dangers lurking beyond city walls. The capriciousness of Fatal dissolve into the steady presence of the gods. You watch the ripples spread, the way the light fractures and reforms, reminding you that fate is fluid, ever-changing, yet ever-present. He recalls a day when smoke rose in a spiral above the Capitoline Hill, signaling a coming disaster, or when the sudden death of a sacred dog foretold the fall of a senator. His voice is low, rhythmic, weaving past and present together as if they were one. This daily ritual roots you in your family's history and the vast cosmos beyond. Outside, the sun has dipped behind the rooftops. The sky is lavender and gold. Street lamps are being lit. Voices echo from doorways. The city returns. You awaken slowly, the chill of morning clinging to your skin. Before the day's noise begins, your eyes find the lararium, the sacred household shrine, a small corner devoted to the Lares. Some say these creatures carry the favor of Hecate, goddess of magic and crossroads. Others whisper warnings that crossing paths with such an animal at the wrong time invites bad luck. You smile softly to yourself, knowing that superstition is a language spoken by the cautious heart. Yet beneath the sounds of daily life lies a more subtle current-hand awareness of spirits and signs that shape every moment. Infinities, the invisible guardians of your family and home, and then fades, leaving only clarity. You brace yourself, step in. It steals your breath, steals your thoughts, and yet, in moments, you feel reborn, alert, clean, alive. The cold sharpens everything. What? You dress again in the apodidium, your tunic loose, your skin warm and flushed. But you carry the bath with you, its heat in your bones, its stillness in your breath. It's peace in your mind. The first light of dawn filters through the narrow window of your modest Roman home, brushing the marble and terracotta surfaces with a pale gold glow. The shrine itself is humble yet dignified. You step forward, hands steady, and lift a tiny clay lamp filled with olive oil. Your fingers trace the rim of the oil bowl. Outside, the city stirs. The clatter of wooden carts, the murmur of merchants preparing their stalls. The crowing of roosters mingling with the soft steps of early risers. You step out onto the street, mindful of every step. Nearby, a black cat slips silently through shadows, its gleaming eyes catching the light like emeralds. Ahead, you notice a group gathered around an augur, a priest whose sacred task is to read the will of the gods by observing the flight of birds and the behavior of sacred chickens. Further along the forum, a soothsayer sits by a column, her face shadowed beneath a faded veil. You pause at a fountain where children play. You toss a small coin into the clear water, a humble offering to Fortuna, goddess of luck and chance. Nearby, an old man scratches his chin thoughtfully, telling tales of omens and portents. You walk down a narrow alley, where small shrines cling to walls, little niches containing statues of Mercury, protector of travelers and merchants, or Bacchus, god of wine and revelry. As dusk approaches, the city quiets, but the rituals continue. You enter the home again, the oil lamp flickering in the dusk. Your family gathers for a moment, parents, siblings, perhaps a servant or two. Outside, the stars begin to appear, each one a distant god watching from the heavens. In this sacred space, the world's noise fades. Your eyes grow heavy. The quiet strength of the Lares and Penates wraps around you like a gentle cloak. You breathe deeply, inhale the scent of oil and flowers, exhale the worries of the day. And as sleep gathers, you carry with you the watchful eyes of countless spirits known and unknown. They guard your dreams. They hold your peace. They are the silent threads stitching your life into the grand tapestry of Rome. Picture yourself at the edge of one of Rome's famed roads, perhaps the Grand Via Appia, the queen of roads. The morning light is soft and golden, filtering through tall cypress trees that line the path like silent sentinels. The air is crisp, but carries the faint scent of crushed pine needles and dry earth. Beneath your feet lie stones laid centuries ago, meticulously cut and fitted by Roman engineers. These stones are worn smooth by the footsteps of million soldiers, merchants, slaves, senators, and travelers of every kind. Imagine the steady, comforting crunch of sandals and hooves on gravel, blending with the faint clinking of metal harnesses and the distant murmur of voices in Latin, Greek, and many other tongues. The road stretches ahead, a ribbon winding through fields and hills, connecting distant provinces to the beating heart of the empire, Rome itself. Here the empire's lifeblood flows, not just armies and goods, but ideas, culture, news, and sometimes whispers of rebellion. The road's gentle curved channels water away to ditches on either side. Culverts and small bridges span streams and valleys, built to last for centuries, many still standing today. Pause for a moment and listen deeply. These markers provide reassurance to weary feet and a tangible connection to the vast, complex empire they serve. The driver hums a familiar tune, his voice blending with the soft jingle of harness bells. Nearby, a small group of legionaries marches in perfect step, their sandals striking the stones like a drumbeat, their armor faintly clinking in the quiet morning. Small roadside shrines, often marked with a pile of stones or a carved statue, offer comfort and blessing to those who pass. A lone traveler could easily find himself surrounded, his possessions stolen or worse. To guard against such risks, many journeyed in groups or under the protection of armed escorts. Nearby, a bard strums a lyre softly, weaving melodies that tell of Rome's glory and the adventures of heroes long past. The music drifts gently through the air, blending with the distant murmur of the road beyond. You might hear the rhythmic clatter of a merchant-esque cart loaded with olive oil jars and freshly woven textiles, rolling steadily over the stones. The duty of a soldier marching to defend distant borders. The simple longing of a family moving toward a new home. The whispered prayers of the pious asking the gods for safe passage. A family unwraps a simple meal of bread, cheese, and figs, sharing quiet laughter. Children chase each other with youthful energy, their voices light and carefree, contrasting the hard stones beneath. Look to the roadside, where travelers rest in the shade of olive trees. Smoke curls from cooking fires, mingling with the aromas of roasting meat and freshly baked bread. Some pace nervously, their armor clinking softly. Others sit quietly, eyes closed, centering themselves for the fight ahead. They are a brotherhood bound by shared hardship and fatesome born slaves. Others criminals condemned, and a few who have chosen this perilous path for honor and glory. They rise before dawn to rigorous drills designed to build strength and agility. Each breath is measured, each movement purposeful. For them, the arena is a stage where life and death dance closely together. Their diet is carefully controlled: barley beans, dried fruits to maintain muscle and stamina. Injuries are frequent. Scars tell silent stories of battles survived and lost. The air buzzes with chatter, laughter, and occasional song. Their voices are low but firm, guiding each man through exercises. The proper stance, the deadly thrust, the parry that might save a life. They share whispered hopes, fears, and stories of past combats. Some dream of freedom, others of revenge, and a few simply hope to see another dawn. Listen to the rhythmic clang of wooden practice swords striking shields, the occasional grunt of exertion, the scrape of sandals on stone. Travelers exchange news from distant lands. Soldiers recount tales of battle. Merchants haggle over prices. The stone corridors echo faintly with footsteps and muffled voices. The air is thick with dust, the smell of sweat and leather, and the lingering metallic temps of sharpened steel. The engineering behind these roads is nothing short of remarkable. Beneath the carefully arranged paving stones lies a foundation of sand and gravel designed to drain rainwater swiftly, preventing damage from the elements. Stall stone pillars, etched with distances, stand like silent guides. Each one marks how far a traveler has come, or how far remains before reaching the eternal city. But the roads were more than practical constructions. They were a statement of Roman power and order, a symbol that the empire held the world together with stone and discipline. Yet life on the road was not without its dangers. Bandits lurked in dense forests and rocky passes, waiting for the careless or the unlucky. The gods, too, were called upon for protection. You might overhear prayers to Mercury, the fleet-footed messenger god, protector of travelers, or to Sylvanus, guardian of the woods. As the day grows warmer, you come upon a bustling mansio, kind of ancient rest stop, and in for weary travelers and couriers. Humble stable hums with activity as grooms tend horses and pack animals, preparing for the next leg of their journey. You pause here, sitting on a worn bench shaded by a rough wooden awning. Reflect now on what these roads represent. They are not merely stones and dirt. They are the connective tissue of an empire, tangible reminder that progress is made by building bridges, laying down paths, and sharing journeys. Every traveler, every footstep carries with it a story. The hopes of a merchant selling exotic spices. As the sun begins to set, the sky painted in warm hues of amber and rose, you rise and continue your slow journey. The stones beneath your feet are steady and true. Each step echoes the countless travelers before you. Each breath carries the stories of a civilization that knew the power of connection. And as twilight deepens, you find comfort in the knowledge that these ancient paths remain beneath the modern world's silent witnesses to history, still guiding us forward. You descend into the cool shadows beneath the mighty Colosseum, the vast amphitheater where the lives of thousands unfold beneath the gaze of Rome's citizens. Here in this hidden underworld, the gladiators prepare. The trainers, stern men with years of experience, move among them. The gladiators' lives are regimented and harsh. Feel the weight of their helmets pressing down, the sting of sweat in their eyes, the steady thumping of their hearts. Beyond the physical preparation lies a complex social world. In the ludi, the gladiator schoolsmen form bonds deeper than friendship, united by the will to survive. The Colosseum above begins to fill. The murmurs swell into a roar as tens of thousands of spectators take their seats, eager for the spectacle. From this underground realm, you can feel the pulse of the crowd, the energy, the hunger for blood and entertainment. The sand beneath their feet glistens, marked with footprints and stains from battles past. The sharp cry of exertion, the grunt of pain, the shouts of the victorious. In the arena, every movement can mean survival or death. Emperor's thumb raised or lower decides fates with merciless authority. They are both heroes and slaves, symbols of strength and sacrifice. The crowd erupts, voices rising like thunder, chanting, shouting, cheering. Suddenly, the gates creak open, and the first fighters step into the sunlit arena. Hear the clash of steel swords striking shields, the scrape of sandals on sand. The types of fights vary. One-on-one duels. Battles between heavily armored Murmillo and lightly armed Resiarius. Wild beast hunts, and staged naval battles when the arena is flooded. Yet beneath this brutality is a spectacle carefully orchestrated. Each gladiator plays a role, a character in the grand drama of Rome's power and pride. Some gladiators rise to fame, their names whispered in taverns and market squares, their images carved on walls and painted on pottery. Here, tiny statues of the household gods watch over her. She moves with a quiet efficiency, preparing bread, stewing vegetables, grinding herbs. Around her, younger women and slaves assist, their chatter low and familiar, weaving a tapestry of sounds, the steady hum of life. She offers a prayer, lighting a small piece of incense, the smoke curling softly upwards. You hear the cries of merchants setting up stalls in the forum, the rhythmic tap of sandals on cobbled streets, the clatter of carts rolling over stone. The gods, Lares, and Pinides are her protectors, symbols of family, safety, and the hearth's warmth. Their voices are strong, commanding respect amid the chaos. This daily ritual connects her to a tradition stretching back generations. Infant mortality is high, and maternal deaths not uncommon. Still, women persevere, nurturing life and tradition amid uncertainty. Children listen attentively as stories of gods and heroes are told in soft voices. Women share songs and lullabies, passing down culture and history. She cannot vote, hold office, or serve in the Senate. Women participate in sacred rites, processions, and offering ceremonies that bind them to their community and to the divine. Her power is subtle, often exercised through family and social networks rather than public arenas. Educated and well-read, they may compose letters in elegant Latin, recite poetry, or host salons where philosophers and politicians discuss the future of Rome. Women like Cornelia Mother of the Gracchi brothers are remembered for their wisdom, their ability to guide the next generation of leaders. Imagine standing at the edge of ancient Rome, a sprawling metropolis alive with energy. Nourishes public fountains where thirsty citizens gather, fills vast public baths bustling with life and conversation, reaches private villas with their ornate gardens and luxurious baths. The sun is warm on your skin, and all around you, the city buzzes with life's, the clatter of carts over stone streets. Merchants calling out their wares, and the chatter of citizens making their way through crowded forums and markets. But the price is high. Slave women wake before dawn to clean, cook, and serve. Mothers care for sick children without the aid of modern medicine. Wives manage households with scarce resources, balancing chores, children, and community obligations. Many never survive more than a handful of fights, engineering marvels that made Rome a city like no other. The sand often drinks deeply of blood and tears. These structures are monuments to human ingenuity and determination. Imagine the steady flow of water coursing through channels perched high above the ground, a slow, constant stream harvested from pristine mountain springs far from the city's dust and chaos. As night falls and the crowds depart, the arena empties. But the echoes linger, the stories of men who faced death with courage, who fought not just for themselves but for honor, survival, and sometimes the hope of freedom. The air cools and the sounds fade to a whisper. The cool morning air stirs faint scents of olive oil, fresh bread, and the ever-present dust of the city. You return slowly to the quiet corridors below, where flickering torches cast long shadows. The gladiators rest wounded bodies tended, spirits steadying for the battles yet to come. Picture the soft first light of dawn creeping through a small window in a Roman domus, or a modest apartment in a bustling city street. A Roman woman begins her day, perhaps a matron of a wealthy household, or a mother in a crowded tenement, or a slave girl rising with the city's dawn. She sits quietly for a moment by a small shrine inside the home, the lararium, the kitchen. The day's work begins. The clink of clay jars and the scrape of wooden spoons, mixing grain and water into dough, fill the room. Outside, the city breathes awake. Women move through the streets with purpose, some carrying water jars from public fountains, others haggling over fabrics or spices. In wealthier homes, Women's roles often extend beyond household management. Yet the life of a Roman woman is far from simple. Legally, her status is often tied to the men in her life, first her father, then her husband. In many homes, especially among the poor, women bear the heavy burdens of daily survival. Health and childbirth are constant challenges. Religion offers comfort and strength. Festivals honoring goddesses like Juno, Vesta, and Diana mark the calendar. In the evenings, the family gathers, oil lamps flicker, casting warm glows on painted walls. Despite restrictions, women's influence permeates Roman society, from managing vast estates and finances to shaping political alliances through marriage. You can almost hear the quiet strength in their footsteps, the resilience that held families and communities together. Generation after generation. Imagine a day ending with a mother watching her children fall asleep, a slave woman wiping the hearth clean, a matron planning the next day's affairs. Their lives may not fill the history books as loudly as emperors or generals, but their strength shaped the empire's very foundation. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. But beneath this vibrant surface lies something even more extraordinary: the hidden lifelines of the city. Its water, its waste, its roads, its bridges. First, let your gaze lift to the towering aqueduct's majestic stone arches stretching for miles across the countryside, spanning valleys and rivers. The water travels gently downward, guided by a subtle slope engineered with precision, flowing through stone conduits, lead pipes, and wooden channels. Pause and listen. Hear the soft murmur of flowing water, a sound that brings life to a thirsty city, refreshing bodies and washing away the grime of daily toil. Now, walk with me beneath the busy streets to explore the other side of this water story, the Great Sewer System. The Cloaca Maxima. This vast underground network channels away the city's waste and rainwater, a feat of engineering that kept the city cleaner and healthier than most others of its time. Feel the cool, damp air of the tunnels. Smell the earthy scent of flowing water mixed with the remnants of centuries past. Stones worn smooth by constant flow reflect faint flickers of torchlight. The flowing water beneath ensured these places were flushed regularly, a practice far ahead of its time. This is the city's quiet heart, unseen but essential. Oil lamps flicker by fountains where the sound of water becomes a gentle lullaby. The streets grow softer with the footsteps of the last wanderers returning home. Their lives are forged by discipline, endurance, and unwavering loyalty. The clatter of sandals and the metallic ring of Larica segmentate, the segmented armor echo through the camp. Picture Romans visiting public latrines, rows of stone seats arranged side by side, social spaces where citizens exchanged gossip while nature took its course. Imagine the city's streets, carefully paved with large stone slabs fitted tightly to drain rainwater efficiently into gutters, carrying it toward the sewers. His helmet is adorned with a crest of red feathers, signaling his rank. He inspects the rows of soldiers with sharp eyes, checking armor, weapons, and readiness. The army is also a force of engineers, builders of roads and bridges that bind the empire together. A simple nod or a raised brow from him can lift morale or bring swift correction. The mingling scents of food and sweat fill the camp as soldiers rest in the shade, exchanging quiet stories and letters from home. Round evening fires, stories are told of glory and loss, of distant homes and hopes for the future. Standards, flags, and symbols of Rome flutter proudly, a rallying point for the men's courage and loyalty. Songs rise softly, a counterpoint to the crackling flames. The soldiers settle in their tents, bodies weary, but spirits ready for whatever tomorrow may bring. Beside him, a heavy scutum shield leans against a wooden post, worn and scratched from countless battles. The smoke curls upward, carrying prayers to the Lares and Pinates, the guardian spirits of home and hearth. Small offerings of bread or wine rest on the altar, tokens of gratitude and hope. The streets are adorned with colorful banners and fragrant garlands. Musicians tune their instruments and dancers rehearse their steps. Priests in flowing robes carry sacred objects, followed by citizens bearing offerings, flowers, animals, finely woven cloth. But beyond the marketplace and busy streets, there is another rhythm, the heartbeat of the city's soul, carried in its religion and festivals. People gather in temples and public squares, sharing food and stories, strengthening bonds of community and faith. They honored gods like Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and many others, each with their own stories and spheres of influence. The smell of freshly cut wood and turned earth fills the air, or the Lupercalia, with its ancient rites of purification and fertility. These tools are not mere possessions, they are extensions of the soldier's will to survive. Soldiers assemble on the parade ground, the dusty earth beneath their feet, marked by countless drills. Others include games and competitions, where athletes and performers display skill and honor. It was not confined to grand temples or distant priests, but lived in the daily acts of worship and remembrance. From the humblest home to the most magnificent forums, the gods were present, watching, listening, guiding. The air fills with the steady clack of wooden swords striking shields in practiced rhythm. The legionaries move in perfect unison, learning to form the famous testudo the tortoise, formation where overlapping shields create an almost impenetrable shell against missiles. The sky is soft with the glow of morning, and the cool air carries the faint scent of damp earth and smoldering fires. All around you, the camp stirs slowly to life, the low murmur of voices, the rustle of armor being donned, the shuffle of feet on hard-packed soil. Ridges span rivers and streams, allowing commerce and travel to flourish. Discipline is drilled into muscle memory, so that in the chaos of battle, the legion acts as one living organism. Roads radiate outwards, connecting Rome to every corner of its vast empire, paving the way for armies, traders, and travelers. Think of the engineers, surveyors, workers who built this infrastructure, men with skills passed down through generations, blending mathematics, observation, and sheer willpower. Their work allowed Rome not only to grow but to thrive, transforming it into a vibrant center of culture, power, and daily life. The day fades into evening, the city quiets. Imagine the first pale light of dawn breaking over a vast Roman military camp pitched near a restless frontier. You find yourself among the legionaries, Rome's professional soldiers, the backbone of an empire that stretches across continents. The morning begins long before the sun fully rises. Each soldier wakes from his hard pallet within a canvas tent, rubbing sleep from tired eyes. You see a soldier carefully polishing his gladius, the short, double-edged sword famed for its deadly efficiency in close combat. The centurion, the officer in charge of 100 men, walks with authority. Training begins. Precision is everything. Each command must be followed without hesitation. But the soldier's life is not only fighting. You watch as men build fortifications, wooden palisades, digging trenches, constructing watchtowers, all with practiced speed and efficiency. Hear the rhythmic pounding of hammers and the scrape of shovels. Midday brings a brief respite. The camp cooks prepare simple meals, porridge of barley and legumes, salted meat and coarse bread. Comradeship is vital here. Bonds forged in the shared hardship of marches, battles, and camp life run deep. Imagine the legion preparing to march out on campaign. The sound of hundreds of feet striking the earth in rhythm echoes through valleys and hills. Their discipline and devotion maintain the empire's vast reach. But the cost is high, long separations from family, relentless hardship, the ever-present threat of death. As night falls, the camp quiets. Torches flicker along the ramparts. Shadows stretch long and soft. Close your eyes and imagine the city of Rome at dawn, slowly stirring with the sounds of roosters crowing and merchants preparing their stalls. Picture a family preparing for the day's rituals. In a small household shrine, the lararium, a woman lights incense. Religion in Rome was woven into every part of life. Now imagine the city as it prepares for a festival, a public celebration that brings together citizens from all walks of life. Festivals in Rome were lively, community events blending solemn rituals with joyful celebration. Hear the sound of trumpets announcing the start of a procession winding through the streets. The air is filled with the scent of incense and roasting meats, mingling with laughter and song. Some festivals involve theatrical performances, reenacting myths and legends that teach lessons of virtue and piety. Amid these celebrations, the city feels united, a shared identity forged through reverence and joy. Consider the Saturnalia, a festival of reversal and merriment, when social roles relax and gifts are exchanged. Religion also touched the private moments: birth, marriage, death, all marked by rituals seeking divine favor and protection. As evening falls, the city glows with torches and lamps. Prayers whispered in quiet corners mingle with the distant sounds of festivity. The gods, ancient and eternal, watch over the people. Layer upon layer of carefully chosen materials lies beneath the surface. Large flat stones, laid firm in true crushed gravel compacted tightly, sand to fill the gaps, and a final paving of polygonal stones, each one shaped by hand to fit perfectly with its neighbors. Soldiers turn from warriors to skilled laborers, digging foundations, quarrying stone, shaping bridges, and hauling materials across challenging landscapes. They cut through hills, blasted tunnels, and spanned rivers with stone arches. These markers remind all who journey here of the vastness of Rome's reach and the order imposed upon it. Military units march in perfect formation, their discipline mirrored in the precision of the roads beneath them. Messengers sprint along, carrying urgent dispatches that can change the fate of provinces. The smell of fresh bread and cooked vegetables wafts from open doors. Travelers gather by firelight, sharing stories and songs, their voices a soft murmur against the gentle night. The effort was enormous, but the result was a network that tied the entire empire together. Imagine yourself at the break of dawn, standing at the edge of a Roman road, stretching endlessly into the horizon. Traders bring exotic goods, entertainers travel with caravans. Officials enforce law and justice, all connected by these enduring pathways, who marched alongside the legionaries. Soldiers whose discipline and devotion kept the empire's edges secure, often at great personal sacrifice. We walked along the perfectly paved Roman roads, the lifelines that connected distant provinces, cities, and towns, carrying trade, armies, and ideas. Along the roadside, you see small mansion, stately inns, offering weary travelers food, rest, and fresh horses. You may catch the smell of roasting meat, freshly baked bread, and the smoke of warm fires. The vast majority endured conditions that would test even the strongest spirit. The noise, the smell, the ever-present threat of fire or disease, the hard labor from dawn to dusket would wear down the body and mind. But consider the resilience of those who did. Their lives, though difficult, laid the very groundwork of civilization as we know it. Without modern comforts, no soft beds, no indoor plumbing, no central heating survival, depended on endurance, community, and faith. Your footsteps slow, and the rhythm of your breathing steadies. And give thanks for the comforts that surround you now. Clean water, warmth, soft bedding, and peace. These are not mere conveniences, but blessings earned through centuries of human effort and invention. I hope to see you again tomorrow for another journey through time. Let the weight of history gently settle around you like a soft cloak, warm and steady. But as echoes of strength and perseverance that live on within each of us, the ancient stones beneath you hold centuries of passage, of journeys taken, and of lives changed. Imagine the lamp flickering in a Roman household, the whisper of prayers to the household gods, the gentle patter of rain on stone roads outside. The cool morning air is fresh and still, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and wild herbs growing alongside the path. The stones beneath your feet are cool, but worn smooth by countless traveler soldiers. Merchants, farmers, and officials, each leaving their silent mark on this ancient way. We smelled the mingled scents of cooking fires, unwashed bodies, and the ever-present grime of city life. We heard the constant din children crying, merchants shouting, water splashing in public fountains, and the distant clang of bronze tools. The road is slightly convex, crowned at the center, so rainwater can flow gently down either side into deep drainage ditches that run alongside. We have lingered in the extravagant villas of the elite, with their glittering banquets and endless feast worlds away from the cramped quarters of the common people. This simple yet ingenious design ensures the path remains dry and passable even after heavy storms. These roads are no ordinary paths. They are marvels of engineering built with patience, precision, and purpose. As you take a slow step forward, feel the solidity beneath your feet. Imagine the legions of workers and engineers who built these roads. As you walk along this road, hear the distant echoes of life, the clopping of horse hooves, the creak of wooden carts laden with goods, the low murmur of travelers conversing in various languages from Gaul to Egypt. At regular intervals, You pass milestones, solid stone pillars engraved with the names of emperors and the distance to Rome or the next major town. The roads serve more than commerce and communication. They are the veins of the empire's lifeblood. Beyond their practical use, the roads carry culture. Ideas, languages, and religions flow along them, weaving distant peoples into a shared world. As the sun lowers in the sky, casting long shadows across the road, you arrive at a small village. The stars begin to twinkle overhead as the road grows quiet. As our journey through the streets and lives of ancient Rome comes to a close, I invite you to take a deep, slow breath. We have walked through narrow, creaking staircases of the insulae, wooden tenements where the majority of Romans lived, packed tight like firewood, without running water or sanitation. We stepped into the hidden world of secret cults and mystery religions, where whispers and incense filled shadowed rooms with faith and fear. We shared the final morning of Pompeii, frozen in time beneath layers of ash, haunting reminder of nature's sudden fury and the fragility of human life. We followed the courses of aqueducts, silent and majestic, carrying fresh water over miles to sustain millions. Yet through all these wonders, the truth remains. Daily life in ancient Rome was no gentle thing. You, dear listener, would likely not last a day in such a tenement. Their struggles are a testament to human endurance, a reminder of how far we have come and how much we owe to those quiet, often forgotten lives. So, as you prepare to rest tonight, pause for a moment. Let the stories of ancient Rome's streets, its people, its wonders inspire you not, just as tales of the past. Feel the calm of history wrap around you, the gentle pulse of lives lived long ago, still beating softly in the pages of time. Close your eyes now. Let the quiet settle deep into your being. And as sleep draws near, carry with you this thought, that every generation builds upon the last, each life connected by the steady march of time. Rest well, friend, till we meet again in the folds of history. May your dreams be peaceful, your heart steady, and your spirit strong. And now, traveler, rest your weary mind, and let the echoes of ancient Rome fade softly into your dreams. Have a peaceful night and good sleep.